the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I'm your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. Well, back in studio, so to speak. It's not really a studio, but you get the idea. Back indoors and such, and just a little bit too cold outside to be doing a mobile show. It's literally below zero here in the Twin Cities, Golden Valley, Minnesota, and heck, all the way down to Kansas City and such. Basically, even the Chiefs, that team, the Yuck City Chefs, had a Met Stadium like weather pattern, basically, if you know what I mean, in their playoff game. So yeah, it is what it is. It's the day before Martin Luther King Day, a famous day off for a lot of people, and of course, it's nice to honor and recognize Martin Luther King, a man who meant well, absolutely meant well, wanted fairness, wanted equality, so to speak, when it comes to, equality when it comes to human beings. And I think he got it a heck of a lot more than this whole woke agenda, the BLM crowd, the Antifa crowd, who I think are exactly the opposite of what anybody that wants, peaceful relations, for everybody to be treated equally. It just seems like it's the whole opposite effect that the BLM and Antifa and other groups out there like the ACLU are honestly creating with their commercials and such on like Bally Sports and whatever, just shoving harsh views down everybody's throat and acting like it's gospel. That's not what Martin Luther King was all about. So, of course, talk about him just a little bit here today because it's basically Martin Luther King Day, if you know what I mean. Like, we're leading right into it here. So it's, I mean, when he talked about judging people, not on the color of their skin, but on the content of their character, I mean, that's 1,000% true. That's what it should be all about. Just like an episode I did, I don't know if it was back in June, I think, where it was like, it's not the person, it's the attitude that matters. It's the attitude. It's not like the race or the color or anything. It's the attitude. If you come in with the right attitude, God-fearing, like you love the country, you want what's best for the country and such, I mean, that's a good person. You come in with a horrible attitude, burn everything down, tear everything down, start over, we're taking over, bleep you, blank, 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 curse, and I'm going to dye my hair purple while I'm at it too, or shave it completely bald, and it's disgusting, and have like earrings the size of, hula hoops. I'm sorry, I don't think you're in the right place. I don't think you have the right attitude. You just basically, in a nutshell, you come in with a chip on your shoulder, with an attitude right out of the gate. You're not going to get anywhere, and you don't deserve to get anywhere. And if you fail in life with that, when you have that kind of attitude, you deserve to fail. People that succeed that have that kind of attitude, I just want to vomit. I just want to vomit seeing people like that succeed. Not because it's like, yay, I love seeing people fail. But no, when you get through life with a rotten attitude like that, stepping on people, you're an evil person and you will pay for it later. You will pay for it. It's going to catch up to you. You betcha. In this life or the next, if you know what I mean. Obviously, in this life or the next, the afterlife, you will pay for it. And there's just no doubt about it. If you don't repent and change your attitude. People that come in, with the right attitude, that treat people with respect, treat people fairly, come in with your hand, come into a conversation or a situation, whatever, a job or whatever the heck it is, with your hand extended. God bless you. I will take your hand. I will take your hand and I'll shake your hand. And let's do this. You come in with a rotten attitude, like you're better somehow because I look different and all that. You're no better than anybody. You're no better than anybody else that maybe came in and dropped, certain words that starts with N and go pick cotton and stuff like that. You're no better than those people when you come into the rotten attitude like that. Like you're going to stomp on me and crush me just because I don't look like you. And believe me, that attitude is everywhere. Everywhere. And it needs to stop. It absolutely needs to stop. So if you want to have, again, if you want peace, be peaceful. If you want kindness, be kind. It's a combination thing. It's impossible to be kind to somebody that doesn't want to be kind to you, that wants to stomp you out. Then again, I mean, you can try your best as well. Maybe by God's grace. By God's grace, certain people, it'll touch their heart. But, again, try your best not to respond to angry, mean people as best possible. But at the same time, don't be afraid to say, hey, settle down. You're the problem, not me. Occasionally they are. Occasionally an angry person with a chip on their shoulder, regardless of what skin color or whatever they are, they're the problem and they need to knock it off, basically, at the end of the day. So now that I've got that off my chest, other interesting topics, you could say, I'd like to call them interesting. I posted a lot of potential topics on the Freedom of Thought page, some that can get real interesting. So we're going to shift gears off of that. I think I made my point, and it's something that, it's a point that needs to be made. It's a point that needs to be made out there because, we're still getting a lot of this pride, chip on your shoulder attitude by people, and pride's not a good thing. Like there's, I guess it depends on what kind of pride, like have a little pride, like don't let people walk all over you. Yeah, that kind of thing. But when it's literally just flat out pride, like arrogance and, just like, coming in arrogant and with a chip on your shoulder, I don't think you're really helping anybody at all. You're not helping at all. You're just making it worse. So to the Facebook page, where it's like, it's kind of like throwing, like you throw the darts at the board, and then we'll maybe jump into some topics via that. I'm gonna also check the Instagram. I don't believe there's another call in, but Ray from Kentucky, thank you so much for the last episode. That call in was unbelievable, and I'm gonna check and make sure, just in case nothing popped up here in the last day or two or something like that. It's that was a fantastic call in, and and I love when Ray from Kentucky calls in. I think it's been 3 or 4 times now, and it doesn't get old. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you're welcome to call in as much as possible, Ray. You have the green light. Obviously, Gerald, you have the green light. Mark Carlson, you have the green light. I love you guys, and I'd like to meet more of you out there. Please tell me who you are, where you're from. The Facebook page, the Twitter account, Twitter X, whatever, at Freedom of Thou 76. I believe it's I pull that one up again. Sometimes I just blank. Yeah, at Freedom of Thou 76. That's the X account. So we have that, and then there's also the Instagram, which occasionally gets a comment or two, which I really appreciate, by the way. That is, I do believe, freedom _of_thought 1776. So that's how you get on board there. And those of you that have, I love you to death and thank you so much. Looks like just a like, which is fine. And again, that was an awesome trophy, and it meant so much to say. It meant so much to finally be recognized, like for real. That was an amazing moment, an amazing couple of days there and such. But so just going to check the X real quick. Mostly just random ads and such, which I appreciate, but it is what it is. Interesting. A lot of people added, but most of them are like the kind of accounts where, they're probably promoting something that's not necessarily moral. I don't know if I brought this up on the last episode, but it was on from the Tucker Carlson page, I believe. Should George Floyd's family be required to pay back the $27 million given to them by the city of Minneapolis? Yes or no? I say absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a gigantic fraud, and for so many reasons, but a gigantic fraud, and I don't appreciate it at all. So I'm not a supporter. Sorry. So other stuff that was brought up along the way, I just kind of wrote it got a few likes and a share. It says, if you intentionally don't work but expect taxpayers to pay for you, you are nothing but a common thief. And absolutely, I mean, that's a point of view that I've held for a long time. And I mean, a lot of us work our butts off. Some of you might be retired that are listening. You worked your butt off your whole life, and then your tax money goes to people that refuse to work. Like, I just don't want to work, and you can't force me. There was like big girls or whatever saying stuff like that, thinking they're so cool, or they're sitting around watching, the equivalent of a Jerry Springer show. I mean, God rest his soul, he's no longer with us, but similar types of garbage all day. That's what they do. It's what they do. And then maybe like, oh, I have a kid. Well, so do other people that work. Yeah. Anyhow, it is what it is. Yeah, there was this funny one about, AOC. She's a complete moron, of course. The moon is actually more useful than the sun, since the moon gives us light at night when it's dark. The sun only gives us light during the day when it's already light out. I don't think she really said that, did she? And if she did, that's really funny. I mean, unbelievably hilarious. Maybe she did say it. And if she did, wow. Like, I don't want to believe she actually said that. But according to Russ Boyd, she did. Another new incoherent AOC thought for 2024. Wow. So if she really said that, holy Toledo. So now we're going to get into that ancient history, archaeology kind of conversation, which, it kind of leans towards that the blurry creatures type of episode, blurry creatures type of podcast, which I would like to have included in this episode. Maybe whole episodes about it, like when I talked about Nimrod and such. And we're going to hear about Nimrod again on this episode. Yeah. Again, so it's like changing gears all over the place. I guess that's why we call it freedom of thought. This is something I'd never heard of, ever. And then all of a sudden, it's like you look at it closely. What the heck am I looking at here? And this is real. It's not made up. It's not a painting. It's not a sculpture. What the heck? Giant petrified mushrooms. I posted this on the page. I don't know if anybody looked at it, unfortunately, but because there was no comments. Maybe you guys thought that's BS. I don't know. Giant petrified mushrooms. And when you look at them closely, there's no doubt that's a mushroom, or at least it was a long time ago. And it was that big. Holy cow, dude. I mean, that's big. I mean, we're talking really big. Oh, I just closed it accidentally. Nope, I can get it right back. I mean, we're talking absolutely huge. This is like in the, the southwest part of the country and such. And it's like right away. Yeah, see, way back in the day. Dang it. Anyway, why does this keep happening? Way back in the day, Arizona was a tropical rainforest. Or was it New Mexico? The petrified forest. You've heard of that before, the petrified forest? It was a tropical rainforest thousands of years ago. Since supposedly, like a huge chunk of Nebraska was like a shallow lake, almost like a shallow sea. It was pretty big, obviously. Pretty wild, isn't it? So, like, there is climate change, but it ain't the climate change that's been thrown at us forever, and it's where it's just a big giant money grab, where basically buy this and do that, and we're gonna make everybody poor so we can be rich. That's pretty much all that's really happening with the climate change freaks out there. But yes, climate has changed, but in different ways, and from catastrophic events that took place, and ages and such. There were ice ages that happened, obviously, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. Some people believe that that God had a catastrophic event take place where there was a big portion of the earth was frozen, was under ice, and God had a catastrophic event heat that ice up real quickly, like a meteor or something hitting the earth really hard, like a really large one, obviously a comet, and then because it'd be hot, and then that could help cause like a flood, like it could help, like it was part of the cause of the flood. Obviously, like waters from the deep, that's a huge part of it. That's right in the Bible. And then, of course, the rain that didn't exist before the flood. So it's like the climate completely changed forever at that stage, or at least until we have a new heaven and new earth over 1,000 years from now. Of course, in the Bible, you have the, the millennial reign and all that. We certainly have not hit that point yet. But no, these giant mushrooms, and you hear about all these, how we always talked about the giants in the Bible and such. I don't know. Could there be some kind of relation to all this? It's just crazy. Like stuff in the past, maybe it grew and lived for a really long time and got really large. Like possibly that might be why you saw things like gigantic lizards that became that are dinosaurs. And then you see small lizards today, smaller lizards that look very similar to what a T-Rex would look like and such. So it's interesting to think about how things may have been different thousands to millions of years ago. It's fascinating stuff. And seeing these mushrooms, I mean, that's a mushroom because there's one after another. It's not just one or two here and there. These are mushrooms. It's like a rock now because it's petrified, but that's a mushroom. I mean, and it's humongous. It's way bigger than people. It's an incredibly fascinating thing. And again, the more and more you look at it, there's just no doubt about it. Some of them where it's like a twin and stuff. You got the, you can see the spores even on the darn thing almost, practically. Yeah, that's spores. Or at least, well, kind of what used to be spores. And kind of like how two mushrooms kind of together, like almost like twins coming up. It's just unbelievably fascinating. So highly recommend you check this out. Look at it. It is so cool. Some of it's in Africa. Some of it's like in, some are in Africa. Some are in like the Southwest. Giant petrified prehistoric mushrooms, Chad, Africa. Yep. So that's one there. It's just unbelievable. So it's so cool. And nobody would have thought about this. Giant mushroom, Valley of Dreams, New Mexico. So it's not just, obviously, it's not just the United States. You have, was it Chad in Africa and such as well. So freaking cool. And there's somewhere there was a man standing next to it, and it's like 3 times taller than him. I mean, it's a mushroom. Like some of it might be a rock formation, some of them, but 90% of these are mushrooms. Let me tell you. I mean, if that's not some of these that I'm looking at, if it's not a mushroom, like what is? So what is? I mean, it's a mushroom. Yeah, right here. Yeah, there's some. It's like plain as day. One that was, it's like laying on the ground. You can even see that it was like a plant. Man, that's cool. It's absolutely cool. Unbelievable. Okay, this is different. Never mind. Sorry, that's a different picture. My apologies. But fascinating, incredible stuff. Some were like super big. Some were a little smaller, but still big, like way bigger than normal. But then you have ones that were bigger than people. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Man, absolutely cool. So like you stare at some of them, I mean, you're blown away. Yep. So I've probably gone on this way too long, and I apologize. But yeah, giant mushrooms. Giant mushrooms. How do I go from MLK and all that to giant mushrooms? I don't know, but that's freedom of thought, I guess. There was another, Rainbow Christians Together. I was saying that's retrobrates. No, it's really sad. Gerald String had a sad look on that one. And here's another thing as we go into the ancient history again. Are you ready for something that just blows your bleeping balls off? Okay, I apologize. That doesn't even sound appropriate, and it blew my mind. I never knew, and I don't know. I never knew, but this tells you what could be coming here. What level of deception could be on our way here very soon, and how the evil, like the enemy, is going to deceive the masses to follow the Antichrist. You ready? When was King Nimrod's birthday? December the 25th. Wait, what? December the 25th? And yes, it is common knowledge that Jesus was not born on December the 25th. Some say September, some say April, more like closer to Easter. Others say September-ish. So as to the exact, that's the funny part. They know Nimrod's birthday, December the 25th, but not Jesus' birthday. That figures. But at the end of the day, Nimrod's birthday, December the 25th. Like the Christmas day that we celebrate, and that's Nimrod's birthday. So, that kind of scares me, actually. That sends chills down my spine. And it also, when you consider who and what Nimrod was in the Bible and in ancient history, He was the first world leader. He was a hunter of men. And he wanted to be a god. He wanted to be like, similar to what Lucifer did, like where Lucifer wanted to be God himself. He wanted to take over as God. Lucifer wanted to take over. And then obviously, God threw him out of heaven, rightfully so. Nimrod wanted to take over. So it's like the spirit of the devil was literally in Nimrod. And there's also a belief that he was, that he had a change of DNA through some type of ancient, extremely high technology at the time that did exist because of the fallen angels who have technology way beyond anything we know. Yes, the fallen angels, the watchers, and all of them. Well, the fallen angels especially, but the watchers are, that's another thing that can lead to Nephilim and such. And that they believe that there was a DNA change, that Nimrod became a Nephilim, and that's how he became a powerful hunter, and he was so strong and everything that he could do all of that. And also belief as to how, not just him but others that followed him were able to build such a gigantic tower that they were trying to lead towards it, being like some type of a gateway to heaven, and how God stopped them. He said, if God said, if I don't stop them, they will succeed in what they're doing. And it's in the Bible. So that's pretty crazy to imagine, like what they were up to. Fallen angels and Nimrod were all working together. But then you come back to the December the 25th. Like, what does this all mean? What does this all mean? December the 25th. Absolutely insane. The one who rejected God as his ruler, he trusted in his own might. Therefore, it is said of him, he was mighty in hunting and in sin before the Lord, for he was a hunter of the sons of men in their languages. Yeah, it's just the most bizarre thing. So it literally sounds like the Antichrist. And in a lot of ways, he was the Antichrist of that time. How the devil's kind of like trying to create his version of his Messiah to, take people against God rather than with God, where Jesus obviously, is the Son of God and wants to forgive us our sins and bring us all to heaven rather than follow this. And it's just crazy to imagine December the 25th, how that could be used as a major deception and calling like God a liar and all that. It's really scary. It's scary, and how many people that don't know what's going on are going to follow that. And the next thing you know, this Antichrist is going to blaspheme God all over the place. And it's going to be a very frightening and sad situation. I truly believe this could be a link to what's going to happen in the not too distant future as we head into like the real revelation on this planet. So it's going to be insanely interesting and scary at the same time. So it's interesting. I never knew this, and for those of you that might be hearing this for the first time as well, it's pretty wild, pretty crazy. Some of you out there probably may not have heard about Nimrod a whole lot, but obviously he's the one who was responsible for the Tower of Babel. So he's the king. He was the king, and he was the first world leader at the time. Like that was Babylon way back then. And it's absolutely frightening when you put all this together and how it's like, like they're going to rebuild Babylon, basically. So it just sounds like a return of Nimrod in a lot of ways. It really does. So it's crazy fascinating. Heard a lot about this on the Blurry Creatures podcast, about how he was taken down into the abyss, kind of like with the fallen angels. So at the time, and how they're going to be like released again. It says in the Revelation how they're the key to the abyss and all that. So it's really interesting. Really makes you think that what could really be going on here when Revelation all starts to happen. So it's really, really interesting indeed. That it's going to be one of the. We're in for some interesting, crazy times, but thankfully we have the Lord on our side. It's just sad that some people aren't going to follow the Lord, and that's just the sad part of it all. How things are, a lot of people are going to be lost. A lot of people are going to be lost, unfortunately. So try your best to get people saved before it's too late at the end of the day. So with that said, Sorry if I'm stumbling around and going crazy here. Maybe a little bit distracted, but at the same time, it's just it just blew my mind. It truly did. So, yeah, it's crazy. So I go from petrified mushrooms. I go from MLK into some of the BLM and George Floyd to petrified mushrooms, now to Nimrod being born on the 25th of December. It's just the darndest. Sorry about the day. It's just the darndest show going all over the place. But again, that's why we call it freedom of thought. With that said, please do put a positive rating, 5-star rating for this show on Apple Podcasts or any other app out there that allows you to do so. It'll be greatly, greatly appreciated, and it'll really help this show grow, because this show needs to grow. Tell your friends about the show. Word of mouth. Share it on Facebook or other Instagram or whatever it is. Share it out there on social media. Tell your friends, word of mouth, physically, just check it out. Those of you out there that have, I really appreciate you so much. And until next time, I suppose, I hope all of you have a wonderful few days. I'll come back with some more interesting conversations and topics. I hope you don't mind what I brought up here today. I hope it isn't the strangest, weirdest stuff ever, but it is what it is, right? I mean, this is a very crazy world we live in, and there's a lot of untold stories and a lot of pieces to stories that people just didn't know, including myself, on a lot of this until recently, honestly. And it's downright fascinating, to say the least. Again, take care, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.